What is up, friends, enemies, neighbors, aunts, uncles? Uncles, I guess ex-uncles, because you used to be married to my aunt, but then you guys got divorced. We still have a good relationship. Shout out to my third grade teacher, Miss Estes, if she is still, around. I really appreciate everything you taught me. Shout out to bus drivers, bus riders, bus mechanics, bus upholstery service providers, and anyone who's ever ridden on a four-wheel vehicle. Welcome to Wisecrack's new stream. It's the case of the Mondays. In the chat, let me know who can get there first. What is that title a reference to? What are we talking about when we talk about a case of the Mondays? Just let us know. I haven't seen it in the chat yet, so I'm just
Michael
waiting.
has said it on stream before.
I've said it on stream many times. So let me know when someone gets there. But this is our new stream. We're going to do it every Monday in 2024. We're doing it because sometimes we have a case of the Mondays and we just want to, hang out, talk about what we've been watching, reading, listening to, playing, things of that nature. John got it. Office Space. Then a lot of people got it after John, but John got it first. There's actually a bunch of other Johns too. Mellow Jello just gifted 5 Wisecrack memberships, guys. Lord of the Chats happen on Mondays and Wednesdays. So Mellow Jello is the current Lord of the Chat. And Mellow Jello, I think you're going to be really excited that we have a new Lord of the Chat thing up. Here's a fun thing about all month, guys. This is brought to you by our friends over at Butterfinger. I'm excited about that because I need excuses to eat fun things. I need excuses to eat peanut buttery, chocolatey, crunchy snacks. So we're brought to you by Butterfinger. We're going to be eating Butterfinger all month. As we do a special segment we're going to get to later in the show where someone who I'm going to introduce in a second is going to try to turn me into a dad gamer. What is a dad gamer? It's a dad who plays video games all the time, maybe too much. So that's going to be happening in a second. But just a reminder, if you're here, please like the stream. Please do wear your 15 required pieces of flair. But like the stream, hang out with us in the chat. If you don't know what the Lord of the Chat is, it's the person who is gifted the most memberships. Zach is in the running right now. Mellow Jello is currently the Lord of the Chat. If anyone tries to lay a finger on my Butterfinger, there will be significant consequences. So I'm just letting you know that right now. But as always, like stuff, be here, hang out. First Wisecrack event that's live of 2024. So we're excited to start the new year with you. So, guys, you're used to just seeing me on stream, used to hearing Henry, but for this one, we needed a ringer. We needed someone special. We needed someone with the requisite overlapping knowledge of high-level philosophical, conceptual, theoretical concepts and expertise on the world of contemporary gaming. Also someone who loves a good Butterfinger. So our buddy, Wisecrack's director and so much more, Michael Luxembourg, you know him as Lux, is joining us for this. So Lux is here, and Lux is going to be here all month and past that as well, but all month to help learn me. Lux, how are you doing? How's your 2024 so far?
It's going great. The cedar allergies in Austin are off the charts. I'm sneezing all the time, and I'm loving it. No, things are good. Very excited for this. Very excited for some Butterfinger action. Very excited to get down to business. Excited to teach you about what it means to be a dad gamer because I was raised by one. So I have extensive qualification in the subject. This sort of I grew up in a dad gaming household. So yeah, this is really right where I live. And obviously love to be on the stream. Love to see all my friends. Hello to chat. Thank you for saying hello to me so nicely. You guys are the best. And yeah, so let's kick it off. I'm excited for Case of the Mondays. I'm excited to have something to look forward to on Mondays that isn't a meeting at noon.
This is better, everyone. We're really just trying to get out of meetings by streaming on Mondays. This is a long con to do that. So thank you if you're here. Thank you for liking the stream. Thanks for all that. Does Daddy Lux, could you imagine Daddy Lux eating a Butterfinger while gaming?
Oh yeah.
Can we visualize this?
I've almost certainly seen Rabbi Lux enjoy enjoy a Butterfinger while burning through some Diablo 3 build he invented.
Everyone just visualize that. Rabbi Lux, Butterfinger in hand, just getting it in.
Imagine it's me, better shape, gray beard, Butterfinger, level 70 barbarian, leap whirlwind combo, playing on the big screen. That's what you get from Rabbi Jack Luxembourg.
Amazing. So we're going to talk more. We're going to talk a lot about games today, but we're going to start off with some of the things we're going to be doing every Monday here on the show. But just a couple things at the outset. I say this stuff all the time, but I'll say it again. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being in the chat. We have the best chat on YouTube. So excited to see a lot of you here. For everyone that doesn't know, we stream every Wednesday, Wisecrack Live. Check that out. You probably know, though. I already, many of you who I see right here, I see there, and you're people who I already love very much. If you want to be Lord of the Chat, gift memberships. It's just a fun thing to do. It's fun to gift and make strangers happy. Why not make a stranger happy? We'll talk a little bit about what videos we've put out recently, upcoming down the pipeline, and also, Patreon. We're doing a lot of new Patreon stuff this year. You're going to see some new content on the Patreon page. This week, he said out loud, reminding himself that he needs to make it. So do check that out. It, as you know, it helps us out a lot. But what I want to start with is, and I want to know what everyone in the chat thinks about this as well. I feel like the week between Christmas and New Year's. Also, isn't there a word for like a thing we call the week between Christmas and New Year's? Isn't there a thing? Am I just making this up?
It's
like blank week.
Oh, I don't know. It's like
Let us know in the chat.
It's what Simon Critchley would call an interstitial period of time.
Ooh.
A quick Google is telling me Twixmas, but I've never heard that before.
Don't say we brought you by Butterfinger Dog. Don't say
Twixmas. So if anyone, I guess betwixt the two things. If anyone knows what it's called, let us know. Isabella says it's called depression. That's real too. Sean says it's called Taint Week. Nixon Punch says purgatory. It is a depressing week though, but because it's a depressing week, people often watch stuff. We catch up on things. We consume media. We roll up in our couches with snacks and beverages, and we consume content to push away the darkness. So I wanted to start Case of the Mondays. I wanted to start this year by talking about what we all consumed over the holidays. And actually, if we're cool doing this, I want to start with our buddy producer Henry. What are some of the things that you used, and what are some of the pieces of content you consumed or enjoyed in Taint Depression Week?
I kind of fell into an accidental companion piece where I was watching Mad Men, and I've been reading some of the original Dicto run of The Amazing Spider-Man. Just because I was kind of trying to get back in the mood for serialized storytelling, and there's a lot of fun interplay between the two in the way that Don Draper's about these men projecting their personas and, playing adult while really being kind of broken and hollow inside. And just the way, the sensibilities of 60s comic book storytelling in some ways complements that. The same way superheroes with their alter egos are, trying to hide their emotions in their normal life. There's a lot of repressed male egoism in both, and it ended up being a bit more rewarding than I thought.
That sounds like a media studies PhD project waiting to happen. Those two things coming together. Beatmaster watched Midnight Mass. John caught up on Doctor Who, watched some Poor Things. Penny, Walder, Violent Night, Psycho, Gorman. Got a lot of stuff. Natasha consumed copious amounts of something. And someone said in Japan it's called Golden Week, and someone else called it the week that Santa isn't watching. That is true. In the week between Christmas and New Year's, all crimes are legal.
Man's got a nap. Man's got to take a nap.
Santa's got a nap. Let Santa nap, guys. He works really hard. Let him take some time off. But that sounds really interesting, Henry. And I like that strategy of picking out not obviously complementary pieces of media. That's fun. That should be a thing that everyone tries to do in 2024. Follow producer Henry's lead there. King of the Internets tells us what it's called in Norway, and I'm not going to try to pronounce words in
Romeo.
Norwegian. Yeah, Nick
Romeo.
says Godzilla -1 was the best movie of the year. People really loved that. People
I
really loved that.
I loved it.
Yeah. Lux, how about you? What are things that you've enjoyed while Santa has taken a deep nap?
Well, I did the sort of classic catch all the movies run. So I saw Godzilla -1, I saw Poor Things, I saw Boy and the Heron, I saw Iron Claw. All very good. I like Boy and the Heron a lot because it was like Miyazaki's first attempt, or like most sort of like traditionally surrealist, like in an Andre Breton, Salvador Dali kind of way, like with like the formal contours of the unconscious as like the guiding structural framework. I thought that was very neat. I loved Poor Things. I would marry that movie. I loved it so much. But mostly, much like Henry, I was watching a bunch of big, I sort of ideas-y movies, and then watched about 50 episodes of the anime Yu Yu Hakusho with my girlfriend, which is my favorite fight anime, maybe my favorite of all anime. Period. It's so good. It's so cool. The guy who does the English dub voice for Kuwabara has the funniest dumb guy voice ever put to tape. The quintessential idea of a dumb guy voice. But yeah, it was very fun. It was very fun to compare sort of all these movies where Iron Claw is an exploration of a certain kind of masculinity, like Henry was getting at with Mad Men. Boy and the Heron has a lot to do with maturing and the idea of self. Obviously, so does Poor Things, which again, if you haven't seen it, go see it, please. It's incredible. And then Godzilla -1 also has a lot of ideas to do with identity and position. And so watching all that and then watching Yu Yu Hakusho, a show that's like, what if like a real jerk of a kid who's like pretty nice could just punch the heck out of literally anyone all the time? It was a real fun contrast. And you know, there's some good formal stuff playing in there. I really had a lot of fun doing it. Also, I watched the first episode of Delicious in Dungeon, but we'll see how that goes because only one episode's out, so we'll see how far it goes.
Oh, amazing. I'm going to second something that Lux said. I think my favorite thing that I consumed over the holiday window, over Santa's deep nap, you know, Mrs. Claus goes in the other room. He's like, Miss Claus, go in the second bedroom. Papa needs his alone time. But during that period, Poor Things is my favorite thing that
Oh,
I
so it
consumed.
was so good.
It was really, really good. And a friend described it to me. So I was hanging out with a friend before I saw the movie, and he made this comment that was something to the effect of Poor Things plays with some philosophical ideas in a way that if an American filmmaker did it, it would be really corny and Wikipedia-esque. But when a European filmmaker does it, makes sense because Europeans are like that, and philosophy is more a part of their lives. And obviously, there's the Gerard Carmichael character in the movie who's a sort of cynical philosopher type. There's a scene where we see, this isn't a spoiler, by the way, I'm not going to spoil it for you. We see a scene where the main character played by, why I just forget her name?
Emma Stone.
Emma Stone, where Emma Stone's reading Spinoza. But no, it's just a movie that I was worried, and some of you know this, it is canon. I don't know if it's in the lore doc, but it is canon that I sometimes struggle with gross things and spooky things. And I knew there was going to be some gross things in this one, along with some poor things, but it didn't ruin it for me at all. I really liked it. And I actually found it one of those movies that has a lot of dark stuff going on, a funny stuff going on, a lot of transgressive stuff going on, but there's a sort of sweetness at the core of it, which I really, really liked.
Yeah.
So I can't really recommend that one highly enough. It kind of, we filmed the best movies of the year stream. If you haven't checked that out, check it out. Before I saw that, and it definitely would have made that list. I don't know what I would push out, but it definitely would have made the list for me.
I think it is legit my favorite movie of the year. There are two things, just since we're talking about it, I wanted to flag is like the idea of the movie being like there's a bunch of dudes who recognize sort of like a socially encoded image of a lady, but the lady hasn't internalized any of the social rules of what being a lady is, and it makes all the guys lose their minds and go absolutely crazy. Is a very funny way to frame a movie. Also, shooting like 30 or 40 foot sets on 14 millimeter lenses looks so crazy.
It's a good-looking movie. It's a
It's a
good-looking movie.
crazy composition. I loved it.
And I want to shout out our buddy John Halloran in the chat, who says we should get Todd McGowan back to talk Poor Things, which is good. We need to get him back in general. Dude Abides in the chat asked if anyone saw Nathan Fielder and Emma Stone show The Curse. That is the biggest thing that exists that I have not watched yet that I need to watch. And Old Grease says, what is this tomfoolery? It's Wisecrack's Case of the Mondays, brought to you by Butterfinger. Get in, because we're going for it. So just a couple real things I want to hit before Lux tries to game pill me. Last week's video, if you haven't watched it already, we put out a video. It's our first video of 2024 on a big question, the question of, are comedians philosophers? Something we've all thought about a lot. So that video came out on Friday. Check that out. I think you'll like it, because I don't think we give the answer that you might think we're gonna give. So definitely check that out if you get a chance. And then this week on Friday, and again, just a reminder, in 2024, all of our uploads are happening on, say it with me, kids, Friday. We have a video coming out on corporate speak. So you know that thing where you go to work and there's language in documents and emails and Slack messages and meetings that sound made up, and you think to yourself, why do we have to talk like this? Who invented this? Why am I now starting to talk like this at home? Why am I trying to optimize my domestic life for efficiency? We're going to try to tell you why. So check that out. And then, where is this? Punk Rock Reverend said, a Serbian film, just a great film. Is that the name of Serbia film? Well, we can try.
Whoa.
Did something bad happen? I'm just reading things I see. I'm gonna keep
Serbian
it moving.
film. For a Serbian film, is one of those nasty movies.
Yeah, it's a pretty extreme flick.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what? We got to acknowledge the super chat, but we're gonna keep it
worth
moving.
watching.
Yeah.
Worth watching. Yeah. Maybe not worth talking about on a Butterfinger sponsored stream.
All right. Well, so here's something I'm excited about. I like Butterfinger, right? And I'll admit it. You get older, and sometimes you feel like, I shouldn't, I can't, I won't, but you can and you should. So I'm very excited to have Butterfinger with me right now. I don't know about you all as well. I feel this is a very European thing about me. I'm saying half seriously, half jokingly. I love to have something sweet with my afternoon coffee. So today I think I'm going to dip a bit of this specific Butterfinger bar in my coffee as I consume it. I'm really excited. I'll let everyone know how it goes, but I'm really excited about that. I'm just not diving in right now because I need to continue to speak to keep the stream going. But I love sweepstakes. I love winning things. But there's someone I know who likes winning things more than me. My friend Lux. Guys,
Hello.
Lux, we've talked about this before. Lux is a man who loves contests. He loves betting on things. He loves winning big. And we're about to give him the chance to win big live.
Oh, yeah.
Are we set up to do this?
Yes, I am. Okay, so folks, tell
everyone what's going on, Lux.
Here's the thing. Butterfingers and Final Fantasy VII have teamed up, ultimate tag team action. Nothing like the events of the movie The Iron Claw. And you can, by entering a code on your Butterfinger, the UPC code on the back, if you have a Butterfinger bar like I do.
Just a code right there. It's just a code.
Yeah, it's the code on the code on the
don't use mine. I don't want to show them too much.
The code on the what's it called? The barcode. The numbers on the barcode. If you enter that on gamewithbutterfinger.com, you have a chance to win an ultimate gaming bundle with like a TV and a headset, and I love all these things. So we're going to do before we start.
The website again? I kind of missed it.
Gamewithbutterfinger.com.
Gamewithbutterfinger.com.
So we're going to do. I'm going to enter my UPC code, and we're going to see if this Butterfinger that I'm also going to eat later on the stream, you'll see it. It'll be awesome. Is a winner. So let's find out. By doing that Burns of him for me, I type 12 digits.
12 digits. Okay. While Lux does that, and in the future weeks, it'd be fun if people did this live and you could let us know how it's going. We love stuff like that.
I believe one of
What
the
was that?
prizes is the Final Fantasy VII remake coming out soon.
Yes, you get codes for the Rebirth game, a headset, everything else. I'm officially entered. Let's see if I get a email about if I win.
Fingers
Let's
crossed. Big money. Big money. Big
let's
money.
find out.
Final Fantasy VII bundle. Final Fantasy
Um,
VII bundle. Final Fantasy VII bundle.
I'm an entrant, so we're not actually going to know for a little bit, but
Okay.
I've tagged in. I'll be entering more codes because I've got Butterfingers, baby. So I will
yeah.
enjoy this crispity, crunchy, peanut buttery Butterfinger as we get into. It's raining. That was, I don't know if anyone heard that thunder, but that was loud.
You're not the weather. You're not the weather, man. Lux.
Okay, yeah,
Um,
just the guy with the window.
but so here's the thing, everyone. Gaming with Butterfinger. It's fun. It's tasty. And honestly, it's a very good snack. And Butterfinger is actually helping right now lift up creators in the gaming community. They're sponsoring up and comers, they're gifting subs. They're hooking up early access to your favorite games. So Butterfinger in 2024 is getting after it. They're getting after it, and they're supporting the gaming community, a community of which we just happen to be a part of. So again, do check out gamewithbutterfinger.com. It's a pretty good prize pack. You get a very nice TV. You get Final Fantasy VII. You get a gaming chair, a headset. I mean, you get a lot of stuff. I will say though, it feels like Butterfinger is trying to take advantage of Santa's nap by giving away delicious gifts.
You gotta get in where you fit in, dude.
Yeah, and Lux, I think the reason we don't know if you won yet because it's a draw after the fact. So you enter now. You enter now. You wait, and you find out if you win. But speaking of gaming and things of that nature, something that Lux and I have been talking about a lot. Henry's been talking about this as well. Is that I need to get back into gaming. I'm sort of a lapsed gamer. You know, you might think of me as a lapsed Catholic, but I'm also a lapsed gamer.
You can lapse a lot of things, really, over the course of your
Yeah.
life.
And the thing for me is at this point in my life, and you all know this from watching us talk about movies and TV shows and things of that nature, I need for there to be some ideas. I need some philosophical meat on the bone, so to speak. If I'm gonna really enjoy something. So Lux and Henry have put together some games that they think are going to really hit that sweet spot for me. So we're going to do this the next 4 weeks. I'm excited to talk about this. Every week, I guess they're going to give me a different theme. So Lux, what is the theme you're going to use this week to try to get me really excited about gaming?
So Burns, I'm gonna start you off hot. I'm gonna start you off with the thing that ropes you in, that the people know you love. So we're gonna talk about existentialism in video games, baby. Let's
Love
go. It. Let's go. So to set up this idea, Burns has a child now. We love it. Prayers up for the youth. And I grew up with a gamer dad. I loved it. And so Henry and I are going to try to get Burns to become a gamer dad by finding the game that's going to bring him back into the fold with the rest of us.
We have a poll going in the chat so people can predict if they think Lux is going to be able to make me a gamer dad.
I have 4 shots at it. We're starting today with existential video games. So the 3 games we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about The Longing. We're going to talk about Outer Wilds. And we're going to talk about Final Fantasy VI. So let's start with The Longing. And these are all games, by the way, just to be clear, these are all games like big themes of existentialism, because these are all games that are a lot about finding and creating your own meaning in the world.
We like that. We like
yeah.
that.
So The Longing is
I'm
a
listening.
game. The Longing is a game where you play as a little homunculus shadow created by like a wizard guy. And the wizard guy has gone to sleep for 400 days.
Okay.
And your job is to wake him up. However, you have to wake him up.
That doesn't sound hard, Lux. All I gotta do is shake him a little bit, right?
So here's the thing. You wake him up in 400 days. So what you actually have to do is pass the time for 400 days as a little guy in a cave.
What?
That's what the game is you're killing time and doing stuff. It's fun. It's weird. Hey, Beatmaster, Disco Elysium is on the list, but not for today. But it's coming. So come back a different week. But yeah, so this is the gist of the game. You go around, you can do things like, for instance, you can read books.
Okay.
You can explore. You cannot leave. You get to think about stuff. You can consider killing yourself. Real
This one makes me
existentialist
think a
stuff.
lot. Yeah, I mean, this makes me think, friends. This is why I'm intrigued by this. My friend and yours, Aristotle, dead old philosopher, he said the most philosophical type of life is a contemplative life, one where we sit deep in contemplation, but that contemplation can actually be an interesting and productive thing. So I'm thinking this is a very Aristotelian sounding game. And while you are using existentialism as our frame this week, friends, you see a lot of proto-existentialist ideas in Aristotle. So I'm into it. Dr. Clownica says, this is a weird sales pitch. It is.
Yeah, it is.
It is. Outright Tiny says the game sounds vaguely Waiting for Godot-esque.
Yes, well, Waiting for Godot, and frankly, the entire Irish surrealist movement as a whole, deeply existential stuff. Waiting for Godot is like, I don't know if you taught this in any of your existentialism classes, but in the classes I took in college, we read Waiting for Godot along with a couple of Sartre plays for our existentialism course. For this exact reason, right? That there's this, people define their lives often around events or the emergence of things, etc. And that there's more to life than that, and determining what that meaning is and where you draw it from is a big part of living an existentially oriented life. And the longing really is sort of like, all right, you got 400 days, they pass in real time. So like, how are you going to fill that void? What does it mean to be in here? What does it mean to do stuff? Which is very Waiting for Godot, and it's very Aristotle, and it's very good. Also, it's got weird art that we love. But yeah, it's a strange sales pitch because as Curtis P points out, like I did say, you get to think about stuff because it's a video game that isn't demanding that you take action at all times or be constantly locked into a direction or an action. You have the time to sort of sit and like contemplate the stuff.
Okay, well, I will say that I'm pretty interested thus far. I think sometimes I was always someone, when I used to be a more active gamer, I think I enjoyed the like exploratory and non-linear side of things. The idea that it doesn't always have to be like moving forward and doing the next thing. I always liked a good side quest or hovering in a space that wasn't moving forward. Maybe I'm just like that in life, but that sounds really interesting to me. I like that. Dick Smith has every other Monday off, so I'm so glad you'll be here. So that's good. If those in the chat have played this game as well, I'm curious what you think. So please let us know. But I would say thus far, you're 1 for 3. I'm interested.
Okay. Hell yeah. Wham Kim in the chat said Sleep Citizen, aka Citizen Sleep. That one was on the list for today. I went with some other stuff, but Citizen Sleep also highly recommend. Those of you who played it, the real heads know. So speaking of side quests, doing other stuff, being out in the world, Outer Wilds. This game
Outer Wilds. People in the chat people were talking about this in the chat before we even got going.
Yeah. Yeah. Outer Wilds is a widely beloved game. The people are crazy for Outer Wilds. And for good reason, right? There's a million people I know are super into it. A lot of my artist friends who don't play a ton of games are super into it. It's a very cool game. The basic idea is you are stuck in a 22-minute time loop. the end of which is a
Okay.
supernova that destroys basically everything. And you are a space explorer.
Thus far, and I'm gonna let you know, friends, I'm not BSing here, because if Lux pitches me a game that doesn't sound good to me, I'm just gonna say it. I'm gonna push back. This sounds great. And Eric in chat says Outer Wilds changed my religion. But then John says you can't tell him too much, Lux. He has to play it. So that's your
Yes.
challenge, Lux. Telling me enough, but not too much.
Well, I
Oh,
will keep.
Zero says spoilers right away.
That comes up pretty early.
Okay.
But yeah, so you're dealing with this thing. And basically you go around and you discover the truths about the world and what matters in the world and what you care about and what other beings or history care about, all of this by just going, or by sort of just exploring. Like you said, it's exploring and side quests. And that's really it. You just play in that space and you explore, you learn the secrets, you learn the mystery.
Huh. I kind of like that. And again, I like how you're keeping it intriguing. You're not saying too much. But I don't know, Lux. There's part of me that really likes this. But does it stay interesting? Is there novelty and surprise injected into this?
It does, and because now Zero Place has got me real spoiler conscious. I don't want to get specific, but as you're exploring these things, you discover quite a lot about like you discover quite a lot about beings and like history, and also it is the part of the reason I chose this for the existentialism thing is that because your sort of direction as a player is very of your own making in a lot of ways, you are going to stumble upon all sorts of moments that really resonate. And because you're making your own perspective on the game as you play it, what resonates to you and what matters to you is going to be variable.
Okay, Jamaican Boy Games in the chat says that they cried at the ending every time.
Yeah,
that really intrigued me.
It's an emotionally weighty game.
Well, and that overlaps with some stuff because dads cry a lot. Dads tear up with emotion, being excited about their kids, afraid of the world, nervous about things, overjoyed. So a crying game is really good for a dad game. And now hearing what Jamaican Boy Game says in the chat about crying at the ending, that really intrigues me because a lot of my favorite media has this sort of, and let's get philosophical again. We're gonna wade in the waters of German idealism a bit here now. I like things with a retroactive element, a thing that has an ending that lets me re-illuminate what has come up until that point. So hearing that there's some emotion at the ending of this one gets me excited about, seeing what's going on at the ending and seeing how that ending might illuminate the beginning. It's a little esoteric, but that's what I'm thinking as I'm hearing about all this.
Yeah, there's that, and the chat is getting at. Someone said it very well in the chat, where like it's not just surprise. This is from Modern Times 36.
I'm reading this right now.
It's filled with distant melancholy and sadness, and that's so true. There's this thing where you're discovering a lot of stuff, you're connecting a lot of dots. As you figure things out, there's equal parts excitement at the discovery and at the sort of crying and sort of like the emotional weight of the things you're figuring out. All this stuff is part of it, and it really does play with that kind of waiting for Godot-y vibe of figuring out what it all means and what you care about in the grand spectrum of what it all means.
Mm-hmm.
So that is Outer Wilds. So now let's get on to well, Henry, you have any Outer Wilds thoughts? You played a little bit of that game, right?
I haven't
tag in,
played
producer
enough of
Henry.
it, but I can tell it has I like games where you're playing Groundhog's Day. I'm really big on like Majora's Mask, Dead Rising, that vein of thing. And yeah, I know Outer Wilds has a nugget of that sort of functionality to it as well. I don't want to like spoil. I don't know if I can spoil based on what small amount I've played, but yeah.
Yeah. So it's got all that going on now. Talos Principle's on the list. We'll see if we get there. I'm working week to week, but it's on the list for sure. So
Oh yeah, and just for everyone as well, Lux just said this. We're doing this every week in January. So if there are games that Lux hasn't brought up yet or ideas that you think are good, please hit us up. You can always hit us up on Twitter at Wisecrack. If you are a member of our Patreon community, you can jump in the Discord server and let us know there. Also, if you are a member of our YouTube channel, you can do that as well. And you'll always let us know in the chat of the stream. So let us know. We want you to be a part of this process. And I need you to help me. Lux is only one powerful man. You need to be the wind beneath his wings and making this happen.
Yeah.
So know that if there's something that doesn't come up, it's not that we're missing it. It's not that we forgot. It's coming.
Yeah.
But we got some more time.
It's also that I got 12 games I get to pick, so I have to be real judicious about it.
Got to be concise.
But again, Lux, I would say you're doing really good thus far. Okay. But just note that like I need something good. If I'm going to take time away from busy dad life to crush an appropriate amount of Butterfinger bars, and play something, it needs to be good. So what's your final pitch for me? Right? And
Baby,
seriously, don't mess it up.
Baby, put it on a T for me, because here's the thing. We're talking Final Fantasy VI. And when Final Fantasy VI is much more traditionally a video game in the way that, you think you got your little guys. They just came out with a pixel remaster, so it looks beautiful with new sound, new audio, or new sound, new video, cleaned up.
Remastered soundtrack on those are amazing. So
yeah,
yes.
it's incredible. Everything sounds amazing, better animation, all that. And it's just your classic adventure. You got mysteries. What's Terra's deal? Who are all these people? What's going on? All this biz. And you're just doing a classic sort of fantasy adventure. But unlike many Final Fantasy games, which are sort of oriented around a sort of singular narrative that touches on a lot of, social stuff or historical questions, this game is really a lot about the characters who you meet having their own little adventures to find what matters to them.
Okay.
It's a lot of the first of all, also I don't want to spoil it, but this game has like one of the cooler narrative gambits of certainly in a game at the time that it came out. I still think to this very day, I think that the narrative swing that it takes is pretty off the charts. But at the time, it was like, holy guacamole. You could even it's such an intense piece of narrative that you could even describe it as crispity, crunchy, and peanut buttery. It's unbelievable stuff. But like a Butterfinger. But the reason I suggest it is that the game really does have this core thing where you have a party of characters, all of whom have individual adventures, all of whom who have sort of individual arcs and cares. And there's a lot of like what they call sort of Hegelian screenwriting, which I think we've talked about at least in private, if not on the channel, which is this idea that characters have a want and a need. And when they pursue the want at the expense of the need, they suffer. When they pursue the need at the expense of the want, they grow and are rewarded. You get so much of that through Final Fantasy VI. And so that's sort of my pitch there. It also just has a great combat system that's really fun. It's turn-based stuff, so you're not overly stressed by it. It's a nice one to take an hour break and just have a little adventure in the world.
Okay. That really works for the practicalities of a father-based existence.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking.
It even ties in the back half some of the non-linear open world exploration stuff you mentioned liking earlier.
Yep, big time. Because
Interesting. And
Yeah,
then,
it's extremely radical for its time.
And then, do you think is this something that I need to play, that I need to have played to fully embrace Final Fantasy VII, the new one?
you don't have to, because Final Fantasy is very good about each step being its own thing. However, to fully understand a lot of what Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth are doing, like in like a meta narrative sense,
Yeah.
you gotta hit Final Fantasy VI to really you don't need to play every Final Fantasy. There's 15 or 16 now of them. You don't need to play all of them. But I would put 6 on the list of like to understand the sort of meta narrative discussion happening in the new ones. It's definitely a must.
Man. I feel like you're cheating with this one, Lux. You're dropping, references to Hegelian screenwriting. Henry's talking about the point at which the game gets to abstract side quest. You're telling me that this is something I could kind of just tap into for a little bit during, let's say, a nap. Not my nap, the nap of someone else, not Santa's nap either. So I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna tell everyone in the stream this. First of all, like the stream if you're here. It means a lot to us. I didn't want to say that Lux went 3 of 3. Kind of in my head, I was like, I gotta pick. There has to be one that's not going to sound good to me because it's boring if he goes 3 for 3. No one wants that. It's bad content. But I think you went 3 for 3 this time. I don't believe that you will. And every week,
I
of
don't
this
think
segment,
so either.
But at this point, and maybe it's because existentialism is such a broad and important topic. There's a reason why, and longtime Wisecrack heads will know this. We talk about existentialism a lot because it is such a broad and encompassing concept. Because there's so much media that helps us ask big questions about our existence and the purpose of that existence or the lack thereof, and how we make sense of that purpose or the lack thereof. But it sounds pretty good. People in the chat seem to be agreeing too.
Yeah, I want to.
So I will say, can we be harder on Lux next week?
Well,
Fred?
the chat has a lot of notes for me, and some of them. So Soma, definitely worth exploring. I don't think it's a great dad gaming intro, but it's a cool game. I absolutely. It will shock no one that at some point during the dad streaming discussion, God of War and God of War Ragnarok are going to come up. Chrono Trigger is extremely on the list. And someone mentioned it. Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne, arguably my favorite of games, is also strongly on the list. There is just a little bit of a was it good or bad that my dad played that in front of me when I was young conversation.
Wow.
John Chu, you nailed it. There's some discussion of whether or not that was a good or bad experience for why I'm like this. So that's just something to keep in mind. But I'm glad you like those 3. I'm glad we got you on board. I'm glad that you're kind of hooked a little bit. And we will continue apace with this project of seeing if we can make Burns into a gamer dad.
Yeah. And again, like shout out to Butterfinger for helping us do this. This is a segment I'm really excited about. We're excited to do the stream. So thanks again to our buddies at Butterfinger. And again, like Butterfinger, it's an American icon. It's a classic snack. It's a great thing to eat when you're gaming. And it's very cool that this year Butterfinger's putting a lot of effort into riding with, vibing with, supporting the gaming community. So you can follow them, follow Butterfinger, follow Final Fantasy VII. And remember, this is the thing we're really excited about here. Get your Butterfinger bars, however many you got. Go to gamewithbutterfinger.com and you have a chance of getting the ultimate gaming bundle. So friends, we're talking Sony LED Bravia XR TV, a Final Fantasy VII Rebirth Deluxe Edition, a branded gaming chair, a HyperX Cloud headset, and a $500 e-check in addition to being eligible for lots of other awesome prizes. You know what's better than Santa? Butterfinger giving you all that stuff. So we're gonna do this again next week and the week after that. But let's now wrap up our inaugural Case of the Mondays. And I'm curious what people in the chat think about this as well. So if you're in the chat right, get ready, get your fingers warmed up, because I got a question for all of us. I mean, I do think Lord of the Chat, as of right now, stays Mellow Jello. So thank you so much, Mellow Jello, for that. Matthew, thank you for licking the stream. It means a lot to us. If you have not liked the stream, do it. We talked before about media consumption during Taint Depression Santa's Nap Week. Also, I will say that you might be able to see this. I've left my Christmas tree up to this point because I'm fighting the war on Christmas by keeping Christmas alive in my home until the tree, until all the needles fall and I'm left with nothing but a bare pile of wood. But what are our media, content, art consumption resolutions for 2024? I think that sometimes there's so much to consume these days, so much to watch, so much to listen to, so much to read, so much to play. It can be hard to, do what we want to do, watch what we want to watch, play what we want to play. So I'm curious about resolutions. We can even bounce around. If we have a couple, we can go one at a time, popcorn style. But I'm going to say one, for me at least, is that I want to be more thoughtful about what I start, because when I start a show, then this is a neurosis I have maybe. It's so hard for me not to finish something. So if I get 2 episodes into a 10-episode series, even if I don't like it, it's sort of like I have to know. Or there's things that I watch just based on habit. For example, Marvel content, things that it's like I watch because I have watched in the past. In 2024, I want to be thoughtful in that if I watch an episode of something and I don't like it, I don't want to get caught up in the fallacy of sunk cost. I want to say this wasn't for me, and there's lots of other stuff out there, and I want to move on. And if a new Marvel show comes out on Disney Plus or something, if it looks bad to me, I'm going to tell myself, you don't have to watch this just because you watched all the other things. You can watch something else that you really want to watch. So that's my main media resolution 2024, thoughtful consumption. Henry, do you have any media resolutions that come to mind for 2024? And if you're in the chat, I want to hear yours as well.
I want to actually finish books. I feel 2023 was a year of way too much book acquisition with little movement on actually reading the things, and it kind of left a sense of regret at the end of the year in my heart. So I don't want that again.
Ain't that a real feeling, by the way? The acquiring of books that you just sit there and read. Like, my version of this is getting alerts sometimes on my Libby app from the library that's like, X book has been returned because your thing is up and you haven't finished it. So yeah.
Yeah, and like leaving 2022, I was on a pretty steady like read and move on kind of pace, but that sort of fell apart in the middle of 2023. So getting back to that's my goal.
I like that. And some people in the chat are already kind of seconding the book thing. Lux, how about you? Any 2024 media resolutions?
Yeah. This is pretty wisecracky, I guess, but it's definitely very a Bertolt Brechty thing, is that I've realized that I watch a lot of stuff. And sometimes I occasionally will look up how they did X or Y thing or what the production process was like on stuff. But I want to do that more in a dedicated, focused way. I want to learn a lot more about how the stuff that I like gets made, who's doing it, who are the below the line people working on stuff. I've been following a bunch of new anime production accounts to like learn who the artists are, who's doing this. I read a lot about Poor Things. So I want to dedicate more time to understanding the labor and the production processes that go into this stuff, both because I want to respect those folks and because I want to know how to do it, because Henry and I make our own stuff and it would be cool if we knew more tricks. So yeah, that's my big one. That and like read more stuff from like more modern work from like East Asia and Southeast Asia and Africa and stuff because I only rarely read Eastern Hemisphere work. That's like modern. And so I didn't want to rededicate myself to like, and not just the big hits, right? Like I read Kazuo Ishiguro because I'm like a Man Booker Prize guy, but like I'll read like, stuff I haven't heard of.
Yeah. Well, I want to shout out, and that's really good. I like that. And there are a lot of seconding of these in the chat. I like Liz Scott's. Liz says, I want to spend more time with offline entertainment. This kind of goes with what Henry was saying, but books, live music, theater, that sort of thing. And I think that's important too. Like, I think often, I don't know for any of us, I know it's so easy to stay inside and consume stuff, but often if you go see live music or you see some theater or some live comedy or whatever it is, it just feels different. It just hits different. So I really like Liz's media 2024 resolution, and I think that I'm gonna second that. Another thing I'll say, this kind of like goes a little bit with what Lux was just saying. A thing I want to do this year as well is specific to YouTube. After I talked about getting offline, I want to be more thoughtful and intentional with supporting channels and creators that I really like. I've gotten to see over the years how big of a difference it makes when people comment, like, and share and all that sort of stuff. But I just want to do that. Like I've done this recently. I think I've talked a lot of YouTube channels that focus on music gear. And I've reached out to some folks and I've let them know that I like their channel. And I've had a couple really fun experiences where then someone's like, oh, crap, are you Michael from Wisecrack? And it's cool then to know that they like what we do, which is fun. But I'm just going to do that. So there we go. So I want to, I want to wrap things up here. If you have anything else that are your media resolutions, I want you to share them in the chat. A few other housekeeping things. We'll be back Wednesday for Wisecrack Live, first one of the year. Me and producer Henry, maybe some guests, maybe not, but there'll definitely be a lot of guests in 2024.
Yeah.
So please tune in for that. We go live at 10 a.m. Pacific. Same time we did this. We'll be back next Tuesday. I know it's called Case of the Mondays, and I know I'm confusing you right off the bat, but Monday is MLK Day, and we don't want to disrespect the legacy of Dr. King. So we're going to be coming live Tuesday. So Case of the Mondays on a Tuesday, but we all know that if we have a holiday weekend, Tuesday feels like Monday, so it's okay. Sorry, I didn't take my heart meds.
Logic checks out.
It does check out. So we'll be there for that. So come one, come all. Please do recommend some stuff along the way on Twitter, on Discord, all the sorts of things. Again, thank you to Butterfinger for making this possible. Really appreciate them. Again, you know the deal. We've shared the deets with you. You can literally use the UPC code on your Butterfinger at gamewithbutterfinger.com to get a really nice bundle. And who doesn't love winning stuff? You don't love winning stuff, I don't trust you. I've never won anything, and I love winning stuff. And then also Friday. Check out our new video. It's on corporate speak. And I think that if you watch this video, it'll help synergize some of the ways in which data can make you more efficient when you're working on a team that's aiming to actualize various partnerships and overarching goals as you set your vision towards Q3. So I do think that video will help you figure all that sort of stuff out. But in the meantime, thank you as always to producer Henry on the ones and twos for making it happen. Thank you so much to Lux for being here, for spending all the time and research to try to turn me into a gamer dad. And thank you to all of you in the chat, even those of you who keep pushing on the same things over and over, even when you know we probably can't talk about them, but I appreciate it.
Respect to Punk Rock Reverend for going for Serbian film for the entire stream and finding all sorts of ways to work it in. I respect the commitment to the bit, even though obviously we're not going to talk about it, and you just have to understand that.
1 minute left. I'm going to use hosting privilege to respond to one more thing. Beatmaster says, any music related listening to albums all the way through and listening to stuff I haven't heard before. The past 2 weeks I've spent listening through Stephen Hayden's top albums of 2023. He's a very good music critic, and there's a playlist on Spotify of all those albums. I'm going through that.
It's a great list.
Guys, we'll see you Wednesday on Wisecrack Live, and we'll see you Tuesday for a case of the Mondays. Check out the video on Friday, and in the meantime, snack hard, game hard, play hard, live soft.
Enjoy a
See you then.
crispity, crunchity Butterfinger.
See ya, y'all.